Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. As you guys can see, we're in the shop today. We'll be heading outside shortly to go work on the truck. This is basically going to be part 3 of trying to resolve this stupid front end clunk. And I think I finally identified what it is. But part 1 you guys will have already seen. That was us basically testing the upper ball joint, lower ball joint, and the wheel bearing. We did that test by lifting the truck off the ground, testing everything. Everything checked out fine there. And then the second part was actually a PSA I did over on TikTok. I did not put it over here on YouTube. So let's cut to that now. Hey guys, if you own a 2019 to 2026 Silverado or GMC Sierra 1500, ZR2, AT4, doesn't really matter. If you guys have a clunk in your front suspension, you might want to check the lower ball joint, because I was just checking my suspension. I've had a clunk for a couple weeks on it. And so I finally took a look at the torque specs, and the lower ball joint is supposed to be torqued down to 92 foot-pounds. And mine was basically hand tight. Put a 24mm wrench on there, barely budged it, and it fully loosened up. So that's something that's very scary in a PSA. If you guys have one of these late model Chevrolet Silverados or GMCs, that if you have a clunk in the front suspension, check your ball joints, and especially check that lower ball joint torque spec, because it's supposed to be 92 foot-pounds, and yeah, that was maybe 20 foot-pounds. And I didn't have any issue with a wheel falling off or anything. I've actually seen the upper ball joints fail. I have a picture of that here, but the lower ball joint's not usually where it fails. So just happened to see that. If you guys are working on your truck, check that, and it might save you down the road from a wheel falling off or anything like that. So also, how I fixed mine, I just backed the nut off, put a little bit of blue Loctite on there, and then I torqued it down to 92 foot-pounds. So as you guys just saw, the lower ball joints were both loose, and they should not be 30 or 40 foot-pounds. They're supposed to be 94. So we basically backed the nut off. I squeezed some blue Loctite on there, tightened it back down to approximately 94 foot-pounds, and we should be good to go. So I've been driving around like that for a while, have not had an issue, but a third issue popped up, and what that is actually going to be our Boost Auto step on the driver's side. So basically what happened is that step has been hitting the lower pinch weld on the driver's side door up front. And how I found that out was kind of like when it was closing, I was hearing kind of a weird noise like a ee, and then I heard it hit, and I saw it put a little dimple in the pinch weld. Not a bigger deal, it's under the car, it's not gonna matter or anything. So I did an initial look, and I basically, opened the door, the step went down, I held it, closed the door, prevented it from going up, and I noticed that there were some marks on both the step as well as the pinch weld from the step basically closing up against it. And then I noticed some marks on the frame. And I was like, well, why are there some marks on the frame? This should be fully wax coated. There shouldn't be any impact marks on it. And basically what has happened, something has gotten messed up with the driver's side front motor. It might be the fact that it's the one door I used constantly every day. On the passenger side, there's a 1/2 inch gap between the motor and the frame. But when we go to the driver's side, it's hitting the frame. So I think a combination of maybe the loose ball joints, this motor hitting the frame, that's all just been transducing noise from the front suspension into the rest of the frame. And when you got two things that are rubbing against each other that shouldn't be hitting, that's what's causing the noise that we've been having up front. And it comes and goes. That's kind of the weird thing. And so then I just started kind of playing around with that front motor and the front bracket. And that's when I decided to go ahead and put a big washer between the bottom of the bracket and the bottom of the inner frame. You guys will see a picture here. You'll see it sitting down a little bit. And basically what that did was that actually put enough space in it to that where the step was no longer hitting the pinch weld, but it is still hitting the frame. So I sent all of these pictures over to Boost Auto, and they got with me pretty much right away. And what's funny is I sent it as a separate email, but someone relinked it back to my sponsorship video, because I'd done an install video on this like 2 years ago. And they replied to that. They're like, and maybe because it's a sponsored video, they know that I'll probably be making a follow-up video. I don't know. But yeah, so it's kind of weird that they took my original email, changed the subject back to the original email. So they took a look at the pictures and they were like, yeah, that's not normal. So they'd already gone ahead and shipped me a new motor that we'll be replacing up front. This really shouldn't take that long. It's probably a 15-20 minute install. And all we basically got to do is take the step off. There's 2 bolts there. Then there's a couple bolts in the frame. Take that off, swap this out. Should be relatively quick, and we'll let you know if this is still hitting the frame. Hopefully it's not. It shouldn't be, but you know, so I do appreciate Boost Auto by pretty much instantly reaching back out and getting us this new motor. So yeah, kind of been a long, drawn-out series of trying to get this stupid issue resolved. Turns out it was a motor for an aftermarket part. So all right, here is the new motor. Basically, like we were just talking about, it's going to be probably like 3 or 4 bolts into the frame. I think there's 2 here, 1 here at the bottom, 2 bolts for the step, and that's all we're going to have to really do to replace this. And then obviously plug this into the wire harness on both the step as well as by the motor. So like I said, this shouldn't take too long, and yeah, but like I said, it's only been a couple years and the thing shouldn't have messed up like that. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead, get the new motor swapped out. And the last thing I wanted to say was Boost Auto was very responsive with this whole issue. They saw my pictures, they told me like, yeah, there's not really any adjustment in this motor. I thought that's what we may need to do. They sent out a new motor on their dime and didn't have to pay for anything. The one thing they asked me to do was to take the old motor, box it up, so we'll basically use the same box they sent it in, and they included a shipping label back to them. They want their engineers to take a look at that and try to see what failed, because basically I think what happened is the motor is out of spec and somehow it got out of alignment, and now it's swinging too far back in and is hitting both that pinch weld as well as the frame like we were talking about. Alright guys, you see we have the new motor installed. Everything went in without issue, and as you can see, the Boost Auto steps are working correctly yet again, and it's not hitting the pinch weld like we talked about earlier. It was actually hitting that spot right there, but it's no longer hitting, so I think we're good to go. Alright guys, that's gonna be it for today's video. As you saw, we got the lower ball joints retightened back down to 94 foot-pounds. And I also just got that new motor installed. And I just briefly looked under the truck, and we have about a 1/2 inch of clearance between the frame and the motor arm that swings back when the step slides back in against the truck. So I think we should be good there. Hopefully we don't have any more problems with this. If we do, I'll just reach back out to Boost Auto, say, hey, you know, we've got a problem here. And I think it's a lifetime warranty on it. So if we do have any more problems, obviously just reach out to Boost Auto, and they should take care of you. And so yeah, we have the old motor boxed up, and I'm gonna get that into UPS tomorrow. They'll ship that off, and whenever, you know, that arrives back in the Chicago area, they'll go ahead and take a look at that and see what messed up. And so yeah, that's pretty much gonna be it. I hope this wraps up all the noises in the front end. I did just take it for a drive. I didn't hear anything, but you know, obviously that's just a 5-minute drive and not a long, extensive test, and we haven't taken any road trips. So I won't know until then. But yeah, so hopefully a combination of tightening down the lower ball joints and then also installing the new motor that's no longer connecting the side step to the frame. Hopefully with those not hitting each other or rubbing up against each other, we won't have any more issues. So that's going to be it. If you guys enjoyed today's video, hit that like button. If you want to follow along with more updates on the truck, we've got plenty coming up soon. Hit that subscribe button, turn on your bell notifications. If you guys want to help support the channel, check out all the links down below. We'll give you a link to Boost Auto because obviously they're the ones that sent us the new motor, and you know, had no issues with that. The install was pretty smooth, and that's gonna be it. Also, don't forget to check out our website, BonecrrusherSS.com. We got a lot of stuff on there: hats, keychains, stickers, sweatshirts, t-shirts. There's some other stuff. We got new parts, old parts, all that stuff's at the website, and that's gonna be it. Thanks guys, have a great one.